Hey everybody, we're live. Welcome to Whatcha Drinking, episode 123. It's Mike Copera with podcastcondition.com here with Dan. How's it going, Dan?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I have not had a beer yet today, so I'm looking forward to one. And as the show description says in the title of this episode, we landed on strange ingredients last week, so I guess we can go with any style, but it will include an ingredient that's not typical in beer, maybe. What'd you end up grabbing?
I got a Pipeworks offering because they're kind of the king of adjuncts as far as adding stuff to their beer goes. And this is Defuzz, and that is it's a pale ale with peaches in it. So it's not going super crazy on the ingredient, but peaches are definitely not something that you're going to normally find in a pale. And I have not had it yet, so this is going to be my first experience. It's a really hazy orange, but it looks good.
Yeah, now that I see the label on that one, I did see that one at Binny's today.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone watching out of state, Pipeworks is a local brewery here in Chicago.
Yeah, you're not getting the peach a lot on the nose, but you're definitely tasting it. It's almost like peach, somewhere between peach and apricot. And then you've got the Amarillo. I think it's Amarillo hops they use in this. But yeah, it's tasty. Yep, Amarillo pale with peaches. So, nice. What you drinking?
I've got something that I've had before, but I love it so much, and I didn't think it was going to be available. I thought it was a seasonal. And maybe it is, and the store just had some left. This is a beer I've told you about because you were not impressed with this brewery. This is Five Rabbit, another Chicago area brewery. I'm gonna have to let the cat out because she's gonna be a pain in the butt. This is called the Lulo Galactico Telefantastico. So it's a really cool name.
Mm-hmm.
It's an 8% IPA. And it's made with Galaxy hops and Lulo fruit. And so I heard about this on a podcast that I heard them on with Good Beer Hunting. And they were talking about this beer, and it made me go buy it. It's very interesting. So the Lulo fruit is it's Colombian and where it's from, and I guess it's also named the Naranjia. It's a
naranja.
Yeah, so it's means little orange, basically. Yeah. But if you cut it in half, there's pictures of it. It almost looks like the cross between a kiwi and a tomato and an orange. It's the craziest looking thing.
That's wild.
But you could totally get like the fruit and the smell of the beer. It's really good.
So, but what does the fruit add to it then? Because I mean, obviously, hopefully,
just wrong too.
Shredding you.
It definitely adds to the smell. What's up, Mike?
All right. Hey guys.
Hey, man.
Hey, Mike.
It definitely adds to the smell. It's got a tartness that kind of. You would think it would kind of go against the Galaxy hops because it's more of a citrusy and not so much of a tart flavor, but it's a really good combo, and it's a really carbonated beer. This one is kind of more carbonated than the one I remember having before. It's really fluffy head, and it's not going anywhere right now. So
yeah,
it poured really carbonated, but it's I'm gonna let the cat out.
All right. So, Mike, what are you up to?
Oh, not too much. It's been a while. I think you and I have not been on at the same time for a while.
Oh yeah, it's been like at least a good month.
Yeah.
So, what'd you bring tonight?
I have something that is probably familiar to you guys. That we've just started seeing out here in Boston.
Oh, yes, we know that one.
Off Color Brewing.
How'd you get your hands on that?
It's so my local liquor store has really upped its game in terms of some rare things and some hard to find things. But it's not the only place that I've seen off-color brewing. I've seen this at a few other stores as well. So I think they are making a push into Boston.
I'll be damned.
Because
That's
I've
cool.
got this one,
Yeah.
and then I picked up Apex Predator. I've got that.
Oh, it's so
I've got
good.
that
That's a
downstairs.
nice
I
beer.
haven't tried that one yet, but that might be next on the
So
list.
which one did you have there? Was that the Scurry?
It's scurry. Yep. So my strange ingredient is unusual, but not too strange. Honey, molasses, and flaked oats. Actually, I feel like honey is just popping up all over the place. Everything's got honey in it now. But so I had this, and I also had a beer with ginger, and I had a beer with lemongrass. I just wasn't feeling the two other things, so I went with the one with honey for tonight. But and also because I've been meaning to try this one for a while. So it's
I was
been
just gonna ask, have you had this one before?
no, this is my first time trying it. It was the first time seeing anything from Off Color Brewing here. So it's my first beer from this brewery, first time drinking this one, and I've also had it in the fridge for at least 3 or 4 weeks, and so it's been just hasn't come up in the rotation until tonight. But I'm
Nice.
glad to try it, and it's delicious. It's really really good. I feel like often again, like I said, I feel like honey is kind of popping up all over the place. They're putting it in everything, and most of the time, most of the beers that kind of advertise the honey that's in there, I feel like I don't taste it. Like I feel like I really don't notice it at all. This one I notice. I notice all three of those things: the honey, the molasses, and the flaked oats. Like I can really taste it, and it's almost unlike some of the things I've had where it's an IPA made with honey. It just tastes like an IPA. This I feel like it's a honey, molasses, and oat beer that happens to be an ale. Like it's like I really taste all those things first.
Nice.
Delicious. Yeah, it's really good.
Cool. That's exciting that they're shipping out there. Didn't they just open up a bottle shop, Dan?
He's on mute.
Okay. I was like, I don't know if he's on mute or if his mic went out.
But yeah, that store that's right by me. Not only they've got Off Color, they've got Revolution. Um, I went in there on Friday and they had 5 or 6 different types of Trillium, which they definitely never had before. And so I
You
asked
can
him
only
like,
get
oh,
that at the brewery, right?
yeah, exactly. And so I asked the guy, and he's like, we just got it in yesterday. It's our first shipment. We expect to have it all the time. He's like, it's just they open their other brewery. They've just got so much more scale in terms of what they can brew. So we're going to expect to see a lot more of it. So
That's
they're
exciting.
expanding beyond Boston. Eventually, they'll get to you guys.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I saw something about them recently on one of the sites that I frequent. Let me see. I thought I saw they were releasing something. I guess. Oh yeah,
Yeah, they just had
Trillium.
their third anniversary last weekend,
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
and
it's
they
called
had
Dialed In
yep, they
today.
brewed a new IPA called Dialed In.
To double IPA. Nice.
And then they had two barrel aged beers that they released. Um, I'm not exact. I don't remember exactly what they were, but
I love their their labels are just the best.
yeah, they're neat. They're kind of they're classics. Although I'm a big fan of these off-color brewing labels too. They're kind of cool.
I
I
know, I
like
do.
again, it's like the black, white, and gray scheme that Trillium uses too. It works.
Yeah, and they do that for all their beers too. It's really cool. It's kind of like what they're known for too. It's like one of the things that people talk about when they mention off color is their labels are very identifiable.
What should I look for from Off Color if I can find it around here? So I've seen Scurry and I've seen Apex Predator. What else do they?
Those are definitely my favorites. Oh, Dan had to use the phone. Those are two of the the definite flagships. So let me see if there's anything I'm not thinking of.
Oh, Dinosaurs.
Oh yeah.
Actually, the coffee version was just at the craft beer store here in Libertyville, and that's the coffee version in particular is well worth getting. That's a very nice beer.
Yeah, I've never had the coffee. I just recently, about a month or so ago, got the Dino S'mores. Actually, there's still some of the regular Dino S'mores available at the Highland Park store I saw the other day.
Yeah, that's quite possible.
I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, that one.
I mean, they had the other big release that they had recently, or interesting release, and I wouldn't probably see any of this out there. Is they did a beer for the Field Museum of Natural History here in Chicago.
Really?
It's they reverse engineered something like a 1,200-year-old South American, I forget if it was Mayan or some indigenous tribe down there, based on the residue that they found in a vessel. And
taken out of the page of Sam from Dogfish Head.
Yeah, exactly.
Of a mummified something.
Exactly. But and I actually a friend of mine was able to get. They did have a limited release of 12-ounce bottles, and a couple of friends have picked it up and said it's really sour and funky.
Yeah.
Is that the one that's like pink? I just saw a beer from.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a cool idea, though. I like that. That's a really.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a clear bottle too, so it's like the beer itself is pink.
Wow.
Pink or purple. That's cool. Yeah, and you're getting Revolution now too. Love it.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what to send you now. There's plenty. That's cool. So, Dan, how's that one that you got there? That's the fuzz. Is that a pale ale or an IPA? I can't remember what you said.
Well, it says it's a pale. It's I'd say it's a pale, but it's a pretty robust pale. It's 8% alcohol by volume, so I don't know if they're getting a bit of extra sugar from the peaches, and that's bumping up the sugars. But it's it's not searing your palate with hops, which is good because then I don't think the peach would come through really. But it's an easy drinker. This one's nice, especially at that ABV.
Now I want to know what a lulo fruit tastes like by itself, because it's really interesting in this beer. So this is a Latin-inspired brewery out of one of our southern suburbs of Chicago in Bridgeview, called Lulo Galactico Telefantastico. It's an IPA with lulo fruit and galaxy hops.
Interesting.
Yeah, I love the label, and I love the bottle size. I love the really not the flagships that they do, but the other bottles that they put out. They do a lot of interesting stuff. They've got a lot of good stories about why they do some of the beers that they do and the ingredients that they use in them. They've got some really good stories. So I've been. Ever since I listened to the podcast with them talking about that stuff, I've been trying a lot of their stuff lately, and they're pretty good. I'm liking them. I'm gonna have to. They're not too far from where I grew up, where my parents live, so I'm gonna have to maybe stop by there for a beer and see what their tap room looks like. Speaking of tap room, Dan, did you hear about Microphone? How they're building their brewery in Elk Grove Village?
Yes. Yes, I did.
They were not initially going to do a tap room, but then they I think it's basically a money thing. It's like if you're not gonna have a tap room, you're not gonna make as much, as you initially open up. So they had to work with the mayor of Elk Grove Village, who I was watching. I think it was either on their Facebook page or their Instagram. They were talking about how the mayor hasn't had a drop of booze for I forgot how many years, so they had to show them this is what craft beer is doing these days, and this is what we want to bring to the city, and so they got their permit to do a tap room. So they're looking for beginning of Q4 this year.
Okay.
So maybe in the fall we should see something. I'm excited. Yeah. I love their beers. I'm a big fan of them. Everything I've had from them is really, really good.
Yeah, I've only had like two or three, and I haven't had a bad one yet,
Have you
so I
had
have to agree.
Daft Punk?
I've not had that one.
It's so good. It's so good.
All right.
And what's the other one? It's got like a. It almost looks like the artwork on the other one I'm thinking of. I think it's a Citra Pale Ale, but it's got like a weird girl
I
with like headphones or something like that. I can't
I
remember.
think I've had that one. I remember having their pale or IPA first.
That one was really good. I
Yeah, it
liked
was
that
a
a
nice
lot.
beer. No, I got the only other two that I've gotten from them. One I haven't tasted. It's their bean spirit with maple, and I'm sitting on that one for a little while. And there's another one I totally forget the name, but it was like their coconut chocolate, cacao nibs and vanilla stout, and that was pretty good.
This bottle is very carbonated.
I could tell you had like a beer mustache.
I caught this. It was gonna go all over the place if I didn't do that. So you didn't have any of the bean spirit yet? Smells
No,
like.
I'm sitting on that for a little bit.
Yeah. So if anyone not familiar with Microphone, they're another Chicago-based brewery, but they kind of name and use references to like different bands and music references, songs and things like that. So their labels are pretty cool. They do a lot of because initially they were kind of uh, hitting towards the commuter market. So you know how you can get those tall boy cans at Union Station for the Metro commuters. They were initially putting all of their beers in like a big tall boy can. So now we're seeing a lot of bottles and things like that. So it's changing, but it's their beers are pretty top notch.
Yeah.
So I was hoping we were going to see Chris this week, but it looks like he might not be able to make it. So you ran into him. Did you see him on Sunday night too, Dan, or did you just did you opt out for that?
No, we opted out. He ended up going to the hotel bar, and I was like, no, you're settling into the convention or the conference or whatever, and yeah, I'll see. Maybe we'll pick up something later on. So we tried again for Tuesday, just to do a beer run to Benny's, basically, because he's in town. He's like, oh, I'm gonna buy some Chicago beer.
Mm-hmm.
And so that didn't go as planned because of the conference again. One of the people in their party got in a late, you know, uh, demo or something like that, and so they got to lunch a little bit later than expected. And I ended up just meeting him at was a Cheesecake Factory at the very end of their lunch and just talking
Oh,
to him for
really?
like just talking to him for like 5 minutes. Um, but it was sort of like he was in town. I felt like you make an effort for if you can,
Sure.
if you get the time. So I mean, it was nice to see him, and he sounded like he wanted to come on tonight. So it might just been like he's like, I've been traveling and at this conference all weekend. I'm done.
I don't
Maybe
blame him.
next week. Yeah.
I don't blame him. Yeah, last week was brutal, so we had to skip last week, and I wanted to make sure we got a show in this week. I'm going to be going up to Bel Air, Michigan on Friday, so we'll be hitting shorts, bringing Maddie to her first trip to up northern Michigan, so we're excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah, last week she was sick, and it was just horrendous. It was brutal.
It's hard.
We had to do the go in the car at like 10 o'clock at night and go for a drive for about 40 minutes just to get her to go to sleep at one point.
Oh, that's bad.
We'd never had to do that before, and after like stopping our like preparing for dinner like 2 or 3 times, we're like, just turn the oven off. We can't do this. She's not going to go to sleep. So that was our resort, and it worked. But yeah, it was a long one. It was a very long week, and it went into the weekend. So wanted to make sure we got a show in this week. What's new on your side for the beer club? Any events coming up or anything you're doing, Dan?
Oh yeah, actually, I mean, there's a bit, and there's the Benny's tastings too. And actually, I got an interesting story about that because bumped into someone from another brewery, and I wanted to talk about them because their beers were nice.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I've been trying to get together basically a field trip to Evanston, which is a suburb just north of Chicago. It's basically hugs the Chicago's north border. It's the first suburb you come to, and their brewing scene has been going along and doing pretty well. So there's 2 breweries we're going to hit: that's Sketchbook and Temperance Brewing, and then a distillery, Few Spirits, which I think are the initials of the person who was part of the women's temperance movement that started Prohibition. So kind of thrown, there's a lot of playing on that riff when it comes to Evanston brewing, it seems like.
And you were at Temperance when they first opened, right? The opening day.
Yeah, I was there opening night. I keep going back. Actually, one of the events we had recently at the Brew Club was a brew off, and one of the not samples, one of the sponsor items that we received from them was a growler with 6 fills. But the key is that you have to get all 6 of them consecutively, 1 per month for 6 months. So there's this card that comes with it that they'll punch out. So I'm like, yeah, I'm getting that because I got to go back to Temperance no matter what.
Yeah, I've not gone to them or Sketchbook yet, and I really want to check both out.
Yeah, Sketchbook is going to be an interesting one because unfortunately with Temperance on this the field trip deal, we arranged a group rate as far as beer went, which was kind of nice. But they actually got invited to Dark Lord Day this year to pour there. And that's one of it. And I think there's another event that is going on congruently. So they may not be around to kind of give us the spiel while we're there, which is, that's sad. But
it's funny, a lot of breweries are doing that now. They have something on the same day as Dark Lord Day to kind of see if they can steal some of those people who weren't able to snag tickets, I guess.
No, it's a smart idea, right? I mean, not everybody's going to get that ticket.
Yeah.
And then Sketchbook is interesting because I think one or both of the guys who opened it up, and they're both actually either current or former members of the Evanston Homebrew Club. So they're the classic case of people, homebrewing for years, sliding right in to do their own professional, operation. But doubly interesting because they're really taking a very focused community approach to their brewery. You'd have to look it up online, but it's really interesting. They through the crowdfunding and sort of the way that they basically almost have subscription beer, it seems like.
Oh yeah, I remember reading about this when they first opened.
Yeah, and I mean it's an interesting model, so I'd be curious to talk to them about it and how that's going. And do you think you have to change things up, or what's it like being this sort of community-focused model for your brewery? But that's cool that they're going to be there, and $10 will give each member a tour, tasting glass, and sample. So, it's lining these things up and then going on the actual trip, and that's coming up on April 30th. So that's a ways out, but you have to plan them in advance like this. So
Nice.
That's kind of what's going on there, and I don't want to hog it. So if you want to move on to do something else, that's cool too.
What's going on your side of the country, Mike? Any events or anything this summer or this spring?
Nothing on the horizon. Like I was saying, Trillium had their 3rd anniversary this past weekend, and I don't know. They had an IPA. They made a special. They had 2 different types of beer that they were doing a special release, things that they had been aging for a while.
Did you get your hands on any of it?
No, I didn't. Although I think last I heard they still had some of the IPA left, so I was gonna try to go tomorrow and get some if it was still there. They had an event at their new brewery in Canton, and it was I think tickets were $25 or something like that, and then they had food and music, and if you had the opportunity to buy some limited quantity of the barrel aged stuff that they were releasing. But from what I heard, the barrel aged stuff went that day, and then they had a little bit left over that they sold in Boston when they opened on Tuesday, and then that was gone. So unfortunately, I didn't get my hands on that, but I will still try to pick up that IPA that they made.
What were the barrel aged items that they were putting out there?
One of
Was it
them was a beer that they make called Sinister Kid. I think it's a strong ale, Belgian strong, and they've aged that in barrels over a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know what this one was. I want to say currants. I think they
huh.
used currants this time around. Either currants or coriander, something that begins with a C. I'm pretty sure it was currants though. It sounded interesting, and that's a good beer by itself. But then when they age it, some of those things that they've come out with have been pretty good. Um, and the other one I believe was a sour, but now I'm just going off memory. I'd have to go look and see what
Right. No, that's
I.
okay. No, I was just kind of curious if it was a whole bunch of stuff or just a couple of things. And
Yeah, it was those two things that I think they've been sitting on for a while, and they figured out like the anniversary's coming up, like let's go big. We'll come out with a new IPA, and then we'll release these two things too. Um, so that was this past weekend. I fortunately I didn't get to go, but hopefully I'll still pick up at least one of those things that they had. Um, and they've definitely kind of ramped up their production ever since they opened up that brewery. So I think their stuff will get easier and easier to find. Um, hopefully not just here, but send some out your guys' way too.
that'd be nice.
um, and I heard a rumor, Mike, that you may be coming out here at some point
It's
in June.
possible.
It was very preliminary though, so I don't know if there's
Oh, is
any.
it June now?
I don't know. I don't know when it was. I
I think
thought
it
it was
was.
June. I
Yeah,
could
it
be
was
wrong.
like May 31st. I think was around.
All right.
I heard. So that's just about it. Yeah, it's possible. I'm still waiting on the final details of whether or not that's happening or not. But yeah, that's a possibility that I would like to. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it'd be good to see you guys.
Yeah, and we get to go out there and see the kids. Um, I was just looking online on Beer Pulse, and there's a. This is like the second beer. This is the second anti-Trump beer that I've seen come out. This is hilarious. So the brewery that I'm drinking here, Five Rabbit, they used to do a beer
Oh yeah.
that was housed specifically at Trump Towers, and this was like shortly before our baby shower, because unfortunately we had our baby shower at Trump Tower. This was before he like announced his jump into the race, but they were doing a beer. I forget what it was originally called, but they decided after all of his comments about Mexico and everything, this being a Mexican or Latin inspired brewery, they decided we're not going to brew a beer for them anymore. But they had so much of it left that they decided to keep selling it, but they changed the name to Chinga tu Pelo, which means fuck your hair. And the label has like a big horrible silhouette of his horrible hair, and it's hilarious. Um, but the second one I'm seeing here is great because it kind of correlates with. Do you guys watch the HBO show John Oliver does with
Yeah.
last week with this evening or something like that?
Right.
He did an amazing breakdown of Donald Trump and how I forget who it was that he was like, I don't know why he was like calling somebody out for changing their name and claiming that they were hiding their heritage or not being proud of their.
Oh yeah. Who was that?
I can't
I know
remember who.
exactly what you're talking about.
But regardless of who that was, they later found out that, like, I guess one of his like great grandfathers or grandfather had originally their name was Drumpf and not Trump.
Mm.
So they were like, let's call him Drumpf from now on. And so this brewery called Dock Street Brewery is doing a beer called Friends Don't Let Friends Vote Drumpf beer. And
That's awesome.
the artwork's great. It's really funny looking. So even beers and breweries are getting political when it comes to this idiot.
Hmm.
It's kind of funny. Um, The picture's hilarious.
That is.
Um, so, anyways, yeah, that'd be cool if we were able to make it out there, Mike. I was just talking about that with Ronnie like the other day. I think she was texting me that she might be coming out there, and that might be a possibility that me and the baby would come. So.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You've got a place to stay if you do.
Exactly. While the ladies are out doing their thing, we can hang out and babysit, basically.
Right. That's right.
um,
The fridge will be stocked.
yeah, exactly. And the weather will be nice by then, so it's not too bad. What's it
Yep.
like by you now?
We're kind of it alternates every other day. Today it was kind of nice. It was 60 degrees or so, and not bad out there. But then tomorrow it's supposed to be back lower 40s and cloudy, and chance of rain, chance of snow, sort of thing. And then
We're a day ahead of you, basically. We had 60 yesterday, and then today,
Yeah.
what you're gonna get. So.
Yep, yeah, exactly. So it's we're in between spring and winter still.
Can't wait. Cannot wait.
Yeah, it won't be long. It won't be long. And plus, you think about last year at this time, there was still like 1.5 feet of snow on the ground here.
Exactly.
Oh
So,
God, yeah.
It was a very easy winter we got this year.
yeah.
No, actually, I remember spending spring break in Boston last year and thinking, wow, that's a lot of snow.
Yeah.
It was kind of
Yeah,
brutal.
we got off much easier this time around.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that was the one thing that we didn't get to talk about last week that was announced was the bourbon barrel aged expedition stout that Bell's is going to be putting out. Did you hear anything about that, Dan?
I did reach out, and no, I have not heard anything about a date or anything, because he focused on my feedback. I was talking to basically the Lake County distributors, the guy I'm working for these beer tastings, but yeah, he focused on the feedback that I gave him about the tastings and kind of missed my note about the expedition stuff, which I don't, he may not be able to give that information out now anyway. I mean, I know Bell's isn't, so,
Yeah, so far they haven't said anything. But you said through these tastings you met a representative or somebody from another brewery, or?
Yeah, have you heard of Around the Bend Brewing?
I've heard that name.
I've
heard the name, but I don't know where they are.
Yeah, they are actually brewing out of, it sounds like, Ale Syndicate, their facility right now. And they're getting ready to kind of go the whole get your brewery set up. I think I forget if they're trying to get a tap room together or not. I would hope that they would. I think you need that if you're self-distributing. But the Friday tasting that I did last week, the sales, the head of sales there was this woman, Lindsay, I want to say was her name, whose husband is actually the president of Chaos Brewing here in Chicago, the big homebrew club. And so we got to talking and tasted some of the beers, and they had I only got to taste the brown ale actually, but that was really good. They used cocoa nibs for that, and with the malt and everything they had, it was one of the better browns that I've had. And it seems like a lot of the Chicago brown ales have been going away. So the other big beer they were pushing was a pale ale made with a relative of ginger. I forget the name of the spice though. But both of them were good beers. One from Reputation, because I saw people tasting it. I was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. The brown ale from experience. But yeah, Around the Bend Brewing is one of those breweries people should start checking out. I think they do good work, but they're just still just getting it off the ground. They started in May last year. I think they're finally getting the distribution footprint kind of out to the point where they're making some money, or at least in a position to, and gonna hopefully take off from there.
Yeah, my fridge is finally starting to get depleted. We like a week or whenever they started shipping here, I stocked up on shorts, and we had so much shorts. It lasted forever too, even though we were pretty much consistently drinking it pretty well. But they've got the outside ales now that we can get. It's just amazing. You can get the Citra Pale Ale,
Yep.
which is one of my favorites. And then, have you tried the Bean Flicker yet?
Yes, I have. That's a pretty good coffee
I like
stout.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's pretty
good.
good. Yeah.
It's a wheat beer, a coffee wheat beer.
Okay. That's the weird thing though, is that I remember them being in bottles and suddenly they show up and they're in cans and I'm like, what? Where did that come from?
Shorts is gonna be canning as well, starting next
Nice.
month. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Honestly, I feel myself always gravitating towards cans over bottles these days. Especially, I'm not a big fan of bombers anymore. They're just clunky, and there's like certain shelves that I can't even put them on in my fridge. So I tend to like go with cans because you can put more of them in there, and they're easier to carry. It's lighter. It's better for the beer. I'm a big fan of that route. So let's see. Anything else going on that we haven't talked?
Well, you just got tickets for Beer Under Glass.
I did. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I don't know if you remember that one, Mike, last year, if we talked about that. It's a beer fest here in Chicago that kicks off Chicago Craft Beer Week in May. And they do it at this conservatory. It's an indoor and outdoor festival. And it's probably one of my favorites. It's been hit or miss the last couple of years due to weather and just the facilities being damaged by hail at one point a couple of years ago. But in my opinion, it's one of the best. And unfortunately, it's always on a Thursday night, so it's inconvenient to get to it when you work up in Northbrook, which is like a northern suburb. I'd have to get down into the city, but I'll have to figure something out this year. But yeah, I'm excited. There's I think 200 different breweries participating this year, and there's something like a rare beer tent this year. I saw that they're doing that for this one and for the closing event, which is the one at Wells Park.
Right.
Those tickets just went on sale on Monday, right?
Yeah. The thing to be careful about with the rare beer tent too is that is a perk. So that's a VIP or if you're a member of the conservatory, that's where you get access to that. I don't think that's going to be open to everybody.
I don't think I'm going to be too worried.
Yeah,
I think
you're not gonna lack for beer. You'll be fine on beer.
No.
Did you say when that one is? When is that?
It is May
19th, I want to say, the 19th.
Oh, cool.
Right. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, May 19th is correct. Yeah. Which, so that's where I was thinking the trip to Boston was possibly happening May 21st, like 2 days later after that.
Oh, man.
So, depending on when it is, that's probably the most likelihood of whether that's happening or not. Because I even said to my wife, I was like, so when would we leave? That Friday? Because I'm going to be a little slow, and I just don't know how early we're leaving.
Yep.
So, we'll see. But yeah, that's one of my favorite fests. I've gone for probably the past 3 years in a row. And it's fun to geek out. Like, you go there and you just see all the different brewers there. You see all the different beer bloggers. I listen to a lot of podcasts and watch a lot of YouTube videos, and you just see everyone that I've ever watched on there. So it's fun to kind of see the beer celebrities, and it's fun. So anything else? Dan, you said you were gonna possibly try to squeeze in like a midweek event in the city. What were you eyeballing?
Well, I haven't eyeballed anything yet because nothing's really popped up on the app yet.
Oh, is that right? Did they even release the new app?
I don't think so. But Chicago Craft Beer Week has a new app every year, or they freshen up the old one every year, and that has a ton of options as far as events that are going on outside of the scope of the beginning and closing ceremonies. And I've never done any of that before. It's usually been beer under glass and then I'm done. And I like beer under glass because it is a very nice festival. It's pretty damn awesome. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I haven't done any of that other stuff. I'd be kind of curious to see what that's all about. So I think this year I'm going to go that route, and it's the ticket price too. It's $60. It's a lot of money to kind of plunk down on one fest, and it also kind of commits you to that Thursday, which is a bad day of the week. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what else I can find, because there was one year when I did one other thing outside of that, and it was cool. But it was way out there. It was actually out in what was it? Oh, McChesney Park. So this is basically Rockford, Illinois. It's basically the center of the state, north central. And they had their second anniversary party that year for Chicago Craft Beer Week. So I ended up going to that, and that was fun. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, my brother lives up in that direction, and
oh yeah, that's right.
There's been a lot more beer action going on up there than there was prior. When I first started visiting him up there, I was like, "Is there a bar open around here? Like, I can't even find anything that even has anything besides Miller Lite." Now they've got a brewery. I think, what's the one up there?
It's Pig Mines.
There is Pig Mines as well. That's sort of newer.
And then there's Rockford Brewing, I want to say.
No, what's the other one I'm thinking of? I can picture their logo because I've been to their website a million times, and I've got a growler with their name on it.
Well, Rockford Beer.
It's gonna drive me nuts until you find it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's Hayes. No, that's a beer distributor. Carlisle Brewing.
That's it, Carlisle.
All right, there you go.
That's
newer.
Is it? It's not as new as.
Well, newer to me at least.
Okay, I was gonna say that Pig Mines is much newer than Carlisle is. And I've never been to Pig Mines, but man, do I like some of their beers. They were the ones that were pretty. They were in a bunch of controversy during their days of the labels that they were putting out. I mean, one of their beers, which the beer is amazing, but it's called Bitch Slap. And
oh yeah.
They got a little flack for that, and then the other one was the PD dropper or the PD something. I forget what.
Yeah, panty dropper. Yeah.
Yeah, PD.
Yeah.
And their label had some scandalous stuff on it, so everyone was up in arms about that one. But that beer, that Bitch Slap, is so good. If you've never had it, get it. It's really good.
Oh, I have had that. I think I got that actually when I went to the fest.
Yeah.
I got like a flight before I left. That was, and that's the is that the coffee stout that they do, or no? That's a different one.
I think they're coffee stout or an IPA. It's really hoppy. It's good.
Okay, yeah, and they do a coffee infused stout or imperial stout.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's that is really good too. That's well worth checking out. I forget what the name is. But yeah, I mean, actually, it's funny that Rockford comes up because I was just typing and this is pure, like homebrewer geekery, but I was typing up the Lake County extension of University of Illinois Agriculture extension about doing hop hybridization of all things. And so I'm, because basically it's a long story, but the short of it is that I type out this long list of questions. They send back the answers, and one of them is talking about a hop farm that is opening up out in Rockford. So it's sort of like, that's kind of cool. I might have to go back out there again and check that out. But yeah, obviously that's a region, and it makes sense because it's industrial that's not industrial anymore. It's got to go to something, and beer's coming up. So
there's a lot of land
might
there.
Be their future. Yeah, a lot of land.
Yeah, I mean, that's what everyone says is hop farms is the way to go in this industry if you're looking to make some good money. It's just it's a lot of time. I think you got to have like 3 yields before you get a really full, crop that you can use. So it's 3 years of investment before you're actually making money. But once you do, you can if you can get those contracts, man, you make some money.
That's right.
You just never know what the next big hop is going to be. Like everyone was going after the Citra for a while. That was like 2-3 years ago when. Like when Zombie Dust was first coming out, that was like the huge hop that year.
Yeah.
Now there's just so many of them out there, and everyone wants like the citrusy, it's funny. I was just listening to a podcast where they were reviewing the Hop Slam that just came out in cans and small little kegs this year, and it was a West Coast podcast, so they were they were from Texas actually, and they were drinking and they were like, this is an old school IPA. This isn't like the citrusy. This is the danky, flowery kind of hoppy beers that used to be prevalent in the late '90s or whatever, in the early 2000s.
Right.
And that's interesting because those are still good. If you go back to those, I had a Two Hearted for the first time in a long time, and I was
That's
like,
a
"This is
great beer.
still solid, man." It was like one of my first, hoppier beers into the IPA realm, and it still holds up. I mean, it's still a really great beer. It's totally different than what most beer drinkers these days are, raving about because everyone wants the citrusy, sweet, type of hops. But
Yeah.
you go old school, it's still pretty good,
Oh yeah, actually that was one of the beers that I had to taste, and that was totally going to be my pitch. Is that look, this is the beer that you either are still drinking solidly, or that you've turned away from a while ago, and you should really try again. And I think then obviously that's one of many. I mean, there are a lot of beers I think that people, for whatever reason, have decided to move on to some other stuff repeatedly, and now it's kind of like, well, why haven't I had this beer for a while?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those things where I think I would like to do again is start revisiting more beers because I'm still on that point where I like, if it's new, my eyes go shiny,
Yeah, there's more and more out there, more and more available, so it makes sense. But yeah, you kind of lose track of the old favorites.
So, well, and at a certain point, it becomes really dysfunctional chasing the next big thing because, I mean, you can just do that for the rest of your life. I mean, especially in this environment, it never ends. You just never come up for air.
No, I've been kind of. It's funny that you say that. I was actively thinking about that not too long ago. Like, there's great beers out there, but you can't chase them all, obviously, and I've been finding myself just like going in and grabbing like the few mainstays in my fridge and then a couple, maybe a new thing here and there, but like I find myself going to the same beers that I know I love them. I know they're solid beers, and there's a whole bunch of different IPAs and stuff out there, but they're all IPAs, and if you find one that you like why wouldn't you stick with it? The owner of the Craft Beer Temple, or the Beer Temple here in Chicago, Chris Quinn, he's got it's originally a radio show on this like internet radio station called Lumpin' Radio. I've never listened to it live because it's like Thursday nights, and but they put it out on iTunes as a podcast like every Monday morning, and so I listen to it every week, and so as the owner of that store, he's like, he's always, asking customers what they like and what they're looking for, and they'll say, yeah, I'm just looking around, and they'll maybe name a style, and he's like, oh, have you ever had this? And he's like, oh yeah, I love that beer, it's so good, but I've had it before, and he's like, yeah, but okay, but you love it, don't you? Okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just don't get it. He's like, there's so many people that are just like tickers, and they just need to try everything and, and mark it down and put it into their Untapped app. And I kind of found myself thinking about that, and I'm like, you know what, that's true, and I've been doing that forever. And same with cellaring. Like I feel like beer should be drunk fresh. There's some that are, that are good for cellaring, but there's just, I'm finding myself like, I look at my closet today and I was like, I have so many beers that I should probably open like this year at some point, and when do I do it? What's the perfect occasion, and why? Like I don't want to sit here and drink this whole bottle of Abraxas by myself, but like,
Yeah.
I've got two. I got two of them. One from last year and one from the previous release, and it's like, when am I gonna drink this? It's
Well,
a big bottle.
yeah, and that's the other half of that problem is the fact that these are all huge beers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, it's sort of like not only are you kind of have all these beers that you're finding the perfect occasion for, they're also so incredibly alcoholic that really you need to have a party every time you want to have, more than two of these beers opened up because you don't want to finish that sucker yourself.
Yeah, but then you also and then you have a party and everyone's like, I can't have that. I got to drive home soon. It's like,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
shoot, when am I gonna open this beer?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I've got so much Dark Lord. I don't know what I'm gonna do with those. It's like I'm gonna have a 10-year vertical maybe one of these days.
God.
I could in 3 years I could do a 10-year vertical.
It's when you'll actually summon the Dark Lord.
I could actually
start drinking the beer.
I could actually do that.
Beer.
I could actually do that 10-year vertical twice if I wanted to.
Oh, God.
I got a lot of Dark Lord. But the barley ones, I got like 3 Sukabas. As I was thinking about these, I've been actually contacting some of these breweries and asking like, how long should I be waiting on this beer? I emailed Three Floyds about the Dark Lord. Got no response.
Yeah,
I am not surprised at all. That's just their thing.
Yep.
They do great beers, but their customer support, or I don't want to say customer support, but their response time and just their attitude at their brewery when you go there, it's just they're metal and they think that they have to act a certain way at every point. So it's not my favorite place to go, even though the food's great, the beer's great. It's like the people that work there are not always the friendliest. I don't want to knock them at all because they're great, but it's just I could get a much better experience in a friendlier face pretty much at any other brewery, so I would choose to do that rather than cross state lines just to kind of get your eyes rolled at.
Yeah.
For asking the wrong question, but but I also emailed Firestone Walker about the Sukaba, which is their bourbon barrel aged barley wine, and they responded literally within like an hour or two, and said, it's a good beer to hang on to, but maybe 5 years would probably be the limit you want to wait on that one, and have yourself a nice vertical is basically what they told me to do.
Yeah.
So.
What's on the little screen?
Oh, never.
Mike's aside.
Hello.
She's lamenting my little screen. I feel so inadequate.
She should lament your microphone.
Hey, no. Hey, I've got a nice big microphone.
Oh man.
It doesn't matter how big it is, man, if you can't do anything with it.
Exactly, that's right. If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter what size it is. Oh man.
There's your wife rolling her eyes right now.
Yes, she is, and deservedly so.
So yeah, I mean, what's your cellar like, Mike? Are you still stocking stuff away, or what's the styles that you're mostly doing that with?
Yeah, it's grown. I've got a lot of, if I pick up something that's bourbon barrel aged, I've got a few different varieties of that type of beer because I love it. Fresh aged doesn't matter, so I've been on some of those for quite some time, I definitely there's a couple of Belgians here and there, but for the most part it's stouts and stouts that have been aged on something or bourbon barrel aged. Those are the maybe not surprisingly the kind of the ones I've got the most of. But I only started really doing that 2.5 years ago now. But so I think I'm up to maybe a dozen bottles or so. maybe
Nice.
13, 14. Yeah, so it's growing. It's coming along, and every now and then I'll pull one out, and it's been aging for a year or year and a half, and I'll give it a try. So I think as time goes on, I'll continue to build it up. But like you're saying, like it's hard to find like an occasion for some of this stuff, and as you get more and more of it, then all of a sudden you find yourself and you've got beers that have been sitting there for like 5 or 6 years, and you're like, oh man, like I may have missed the boat on this one, or I'd like to have this one, but it's also like 15%. So when am I going to do that?
Yeah.
And it's funny too because.
Actually,
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
go ahead. I was just going to say, I was curious about do you have the framing hammer by Jack Savvy?
I don't think I do actually. No, I haven't. I haven't put one of those away yet.
How close are you to Salem?
It's like 45 minutes probably.
That's a bit of a drive. If you don't mind making that drive, you can get framing hammer that's like 2014 or 2015. I think it might be 2014.
Oh, really?
And, yeah.
Someone's been aging it for you.
Yeah, on the shelves. Yeah, it's like I was in there while we were in for my my wife's aunt's passing away, and we happened to drop by the store that we were at when we stayed at the Salem Inn, and they had the exact same damn beer and nobody had bought it. I was like, what? People just don't know where your store is? Because they had amazing beer, and that was one of them. And they'd actually, in gold, like that gold pen, the paint pen, had written on the bottle 2014, so people knew what vintage it was. They could be sitting on beer that you really, and they have not marked it up. It's like $6 something a bottle.
Wow.
Go and get some.
Wow.
Yes, go and get some. I will give you the name of the store. I've got to look it up.
That's pretty good though.
Yeah, I mean, granted, 45 minutes, it's a bit of a drive, but if you happen to be up in Danville, or Danvers, rather.
Danvers, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Yeah. No, I'll look it up. I'll look it up at some point.
All right.
All right, so we should probably figure out the wheel for the evening. Do we, let me read off what we've got on here, and then we can decide if we want to add or take anything off. We got to take something off here, which would be the strange ingredient. So we've got a wild card, the collaboration, local we just did, strange ingredient we just did. So we've got brown ale, corked and caged, 13% or higher. That'll be an interesting episode. Goza, saison, sours, coffee beer, cider, anything dry hopped, lawnmower beer / 5% or lower. I would say session ale on that one. Kolsch, barley wine, triple, wit beer, and pale ale.
All right.
What do we want to add on that?
It's a pretty good list.
I was going to say it's long.
We just took like 2 or 3 off, so I was just asking if we should.
Oh, that's right, you did. I don't know. We put on a couple last week, though. I mean, we put on pale ales or 2 weeks ago, and one other. I forget which one it was.
I think we did the triple.
That was it. Yep.
All right.
You mentioned Donald Trump earlier, and we've got an election coming up this year. Maybe we put on a political beer.
All right, I like that.
That's a good call. Like that.
Political beer. All right, cool. Apply the wheel changes. And the wheel is spinning. Tell me what it lands on. Where are we at? What does that say?
Corked and caged.
Corked and caged.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Got a lot of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got 1 or 2 at least in the closet that I could pick from if not going to the store.
Nice.
Sweet. All right, cool guys. Well, we'll have plenty to talk about next week too, because I'll have come back from Michigan and I'll have plenty of beers to talk about, I assume. Are you going to any fest or anything like that this weekend, Dan?
No, not this weekend.
No homebrew
I did
events?
just go to but I did just go to some place where they had Firestone Walker 19th anniversary ale on
I
tap.
saw that post.
Oh my God! If you don't mind traveling to Highwood, go to Highwood and get that beer. It's really good.
Nice. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining. Anyone who's watching, thanks for watching and subscribing to our channel. We do this every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to join us ever, feel free to send me a message on Google Plus or email me from the email me from the website at podcastcondition.com, and we'll get you added to our invite list that we do every week when we start this show. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and appreciate you guys watching. Thanks. Share, like these videos, and share with your friends if you can. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Take care.